Hi everyone, welcome to this video about Total.js Flow again. We still talking about components, and this time we are dealing with output components. Okay, in the last video I showed you how the action components work. Okay, I saw you how in a production line an action component, what it can do, and now we are covering output components. As its name can let you know it already. You can think about output components as something that lets us see the results of the process, of the flow process. Okay, it is the end result of one flow. It may not be the final result, because we create a program with lots of flows. Sometimes it is lots of flows and lots of system, but as we are going to see in the coming videos also, that you can export an entire flow as a component. Okay, so we think of output components as something that can let you see the results of at a certain point of the flow. Okay, let me get into the browser. Okay, last time we were showing how the string operation component can take in a string like that and transform it. As I said, this component print is the most commonly used component to output things, because before we put something in production, you have to test it, and most of the time we spend lots of time in this designer trying to wire things and see how it works, make sure that everything is working properly. And we think this component called print for helping us see what is happening in the flow, because the processor, the computer, is manipulating things that we cannot see, but thanks to this component, this output component, we are able to see how it works. Alright, we don't have only this component as output component. We have many components that can be considered as output components. For example, if we are building an API, you may have a component, output component called response, that is able to respond to any message, any request that you send in the flow. What am I doing? I'm trying to download a new component called response, for example. Okay, let me show you the response component. If you scroll down, you can see there is REST API response, and we have also HTTP response. These components are able to respond to any request that we have in the flow. Of course, if the request is not destroyed or doesn't have a problem across the flow, we are able to respond to this, and this component can also be considered as output component. One of the feature of this output component is that they have only one connection. It is the input. Usually we don't see an output. It means that in this component, the message which is created during the triggering, this component is destroyed. At least maybe you can have some garbage collector or something like this, but most of the time there is auto destroy for component, for messages that are produced from here. So this kind of components are very useful, and let me try to show you some other components, output components. This video is very targeted to beginners, so if you already feel very comfortable with Total.js Flow, you may not need to watch this video. You can jump on the next videos, maybe the examples that I will be taking in the next videos will interest you more than this one, but I try to spend lots of time on these type of components so that you get get started very easily with Total.js Flow. Yes, because it can be very confusing, it can look very difficult, but it is easy like that. It is as easy like that. Let us see this kind of components. This is a logger component and SMS component. These components are also output components. Output components doesn't mean the end of the process of your application. It just means that the message that you created in the beginning of the flow is getting destroyed at the end, after a certain getting displayed for output or destroyed, okay, after usage. It just means that the end of the life cycle of the message, okay, because there is some kind of life cycle. Whenever you create a message, flow message, you send it across the components, and at the last components, it is the last, okay, it is the last days of your message. Okay, these two components are responsible of logging messages. Like sometimes you're in surveillance of your system, you may need to log, okay, the messages that is happening. This is using Total.js Flow API service. So it requires that you purchase and have a token before you use it. But what I want to let you know is that this is not a demonstration of how SMS or logger work, but just to show you some examples of output components. Okay, as you can see, it is very interesting. It is the last. Maybe I can right click and click on edit so that you can see what is happening in a trigger component. Okay, what is sure is that the trigger component is very interesting, because this is going to create a new message on the flow. The trigger components is just doing something like that. Maybe don't be afraid of this lots of codes. You will understand as we are getting deep in this series of videos. Okay, and as you can see, we have output components. Everything is okay. I think I have to cut here, to stop here for this video. We are going to see another type of component, special component that can be useful. It is the code component. Code component, this is something that can help you create your own components. Okay, so let us see in the next video. Thank you.